What's up everyone, back for another beer review, and today is another installment of Macro Monday here on the channel where I review a beer from a macro brewery or a macro-esque beer from a craft brewery. And the beer I'm reviewing today comes from the Lone Star Brewing Company, and they are under the Pabst Brewing Company umbrella, and they are headquartered in San Antonio, Texas, and this is their Lone Star Original beer. So this is an American Adjunct Lager that comes in at either 4.65 or 4.72% alcohol by volume, 10 IBUs at the time of review. I don't know exactly how old this bottle is. It does have some kind of code and date on the back, but unfortunately, where the Lone Star logo is kind of embroidered on the bottle itself, it's kind of all blending together, so I can't really make it out. I do think, however, this is somewhat fresh, relatively fresh, and that's because I picked this one up at Halftime Beverage via halftimebeverage.com. So in the description box, I'll post a link to the beer mail unboxing video I did that contains all the goodies that I grabbed, and I grabbed 20 beers and a couple of them specifically for Macro Monday. And this was the one that I really wanted to grab, and that's because if you don't follow the channel, then you might not know that I love trying out all the regional lagers and just like beers from yesteryear, the classics. Like here in New York State, and more specifically Western New York, we have the Genesee Brewing Company, and I love their Genesee Cream Ale. They have the Genesee beer. We also have Utica Club in New York State. Then you go to like the New England region, you got Narragansett Lager. You go down the East Coast, you got Natty Bo, aka National Bohemian. And then you go to Texas, you got Lone Star, you got Shiner Bock, although I guess that's technically still craft. You go out to the Pacific Northwest, you got Rainier and Olympia, and then you got like Old Style in the Midwest and like Chicago-esque area, but in the Midwest, would say. So there's a lot of regional beers out there and a lot of regional lagers that people do enjoy, and Lone Star is one of those in Texas. So it actually says on the label, the National Beer of Texas. All right. Now, I could not find the exact ABV, and on the bottle, there is no ABV. And I watched, this was a couple years ago, I think, Joe from Joe's Arcade. He reviewed the 16 fluid ounce can of this beer, and I remember him being kind of dumbfounded there was no ABV. Well, here in New York State, there's also, I don't think there's any kind of law that mandates ABVs on the label, so I'm kind of used to it, so I tried to look it up. Here's the problem. I really couldn't find an official ABV of this. I looked on their website, both Pabst and like Lone Star has their own website, couldn't find anything. It's listed as 4.65% on a couple different websites, including beeradvocate.com, and then it's listed at 4.72 on a couple others, including the Untapped app. So whatever, it's 4.6, 4.7, something like that. The IBU's 10 wherever I looked. So I don't know much about this one other than pretty sure it's adjunct lager. I think they brew it with corn. Outside of that, no idea, but we're gonna sure as shit try to enjoy this one. So I'm really looking forward to it. Like I said, hopefully it's relatively fresh. You know, that would be preferable, obviously. All right, let's get it into the glass here and see what we got going on here. Give it a little bit of a harder pour here. Try to generate a head here at the end. Okay, well, that looks like your standard beer. What do I mean by that? It looks like beer. That's what I mean by that. Like, you know, it has that straw golden color. The clarity is absolutely immaculate. About a finger of this, I'd say bright white, somewhat soap sudsy, a little bit of creaminess to the head, but for the most part, you know, it looks like an adjunct lager. Has great carbonation. This has the nucleation at the bottom, promotes the carbonation, but as you can see, it's kind of just beautiful with the clarity. You can see the carbonation extremely well. Hold it up to the light. Yeah, I mean, that looks like any kind of, you know, macro lager that I have seen for the most part. Let's get a nose. So it definitely has a sweet, grainy kind of cereal grain feel to it. A little bit of like a canned corn, almost a vegetal kind of aroma. There's a touch of like a grassy earthiness. Sweet apple, like a sweet red apple. I mean, this just smells kind of too by the book, to the style. American Adjunct Lager, obviously, usually corn or rice, or comes some kind of sweetener, and this just smells like, you know, your run-of-the-mill beer. If you went to a, you know, like a dive bar or something, said, hey, hand me a beer, and someone handed this to you, this is exactly in the aroma what I would expect. It smells inoffensive. It's not off-putting in any way. It kind of just plays the role. Sweet cereal grain, a little bit of that corn and vegetal character, sweet red apple, little bit of like an earthy grassiness as far as the hops are concerned, although that's very minute. But anyway, I want to get into this one. I'm curious to see how this one is. Like I said, I love trying the regional lagers, so let's get into it. Cheers, everyone. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. Actually, that's pretty nice. Wow. Actually, it's not bad. Now, I say that, like, what did I expect out of this one? That's the beauty about these regional beers, but macro beers as a whole, we all have our favorites, our dislikes, our likes. Like, I have reviewed Rolling Rock on the channel and Budweiser, and those are two of my least favorite beers, period, especially when it comes to, like, the adjunct lager realm. I know a lot of people out there like them because I get a lot of comments on both those videos where like, oh, this is my favorite beer, or I really like this one. And to each their own. We all like different beers. Now, I'm somebody who likes like a Miller High Life or a Coors Banquet or Genesee Cream Ale, and there's people that obviously don't like those beers. This, though, to me, is in the realm of just a generic macro lager that is actually quite well done. Now, the other thing I want to mention, I did say they are owned by Pabst, and Pabst is headquartered in San Antonio, Texas. On the label, it does say Lone Star is out of, I think, Fort Worth, Texas. However, what I read about this one is that it's actually contract brewed to Miller. And I like Miller products. Like I said, High Life, do enjoy it. This kind of has a little bit of a feel like that. I'm not saying it's exactly like Miller High Life, but like this is on the better end, for me personally, of a macro lager. Or I guess in this case, I just say American Adjunct Lager. So buying this one, lower side of medium, approaching medium. Nice. It's not watery. I thought it was going to be super watery. I know they have a light version. I'd imagine that's watery. This is not. Nice body. The mouthfeel, it's exactly what you want out of these. Crisp, clean, quite refreshing. The taste, the nose kind of carries over. This has a little bit more sweetness than maybe some would be accustomed to, but it really does dry out on the back end. So right up front, sweet cereal grain, little bit of like a cream corn. And I love cream corn. Don't necessarily love it in beers, but it's just a little bit. As it passes through, I get that red apple. It's not as sweet as the nose was indicating. It's more of like just like a nice over-ripened red apple. Maybe a touch of like a slight like lemon, maybe like a lemon zest. I'm probably reaching for that. And then on finish, it's slightly earthy, floral. Let me take that back. Slightly earthy. I'd say more grassy than floral. Yeah, it's more grassy. This is semi to full-on dry. So it has a nice dryness on the back of the palate. No bitterness to speak of, at least that I'm detecting. No off flavors. There's nothing going on with this that would indicate any kind of brewing faults. Very inoffensive from that respect. 6.5% or 4.72%, whatever you look at, you really can't tell. This would be, again, this is very akin, I think, to like Genesee beer, Genesee Cream Ale here in Western New York. So for those of you in Western New York who watch my channel, that's kind of what this is in the realm of. I think this actually, I like this actually quite a bit better than Genesee beer, honestly. I've always preferred the Cream Ale over the beer. I just think it's, Genny Cream Ale does a little bit more than Genesee beer. But anyway, this is kind of in that realm where it's just like, this is probably a local beer that you can buy dirt cheap, and you could just have this in the fridge as a drinking beer. Maybe you have some friends who come over that don't drink craft beer or don't drink fancy beer, and they just want something. You watch the game, you could pound a bunch of these back. You're not going to get shit-faced unless you drink like an entire 12-pack or something. But for the most part, this is very solid. Like, this is actually much better than I guess I anticipate from these regional adjunct lagers. Like, it just, I don't know. This is really nice for what it is. Yeah, not much more to say about it. So, Lone Star original beer from Lone Star, aka Pabst, brewed by Miller, whatever the case may be. I think it's pretty nice. I'm going to do two ratings. I'm going to do personal preference and then like an American Adjunct Lager. For an American Adjunct Lager, I'm going to give this like a low 4.25. I'm going to give this a 4.2. I think this is really nice. Like, really nice for an American Adjunct Lager. I'm kind of surprised at how much I enjoy this one. Personal preference, always a bbit lower with the American Adjunct Lagers, because again, when it comes to American Adjunct Lagers or cheap beers and whatnot, not my favorite style. I can get down with them. I'm all about them, in certain settings and whatnot. I'm still going to give this a nice score. I'm going to give Lone Star, I'm going to give this a straight 3.75 out of 5. Like, yeah, yes I am. A 3.75 out of 5 for Lone Star. Like, I think that's a pretty fucking good score. There's been some pumpkin beers that I did recently for the 10 Days of Pumpkin and some other beers that I've rated way below this one, so yeah, this is pretty solid. This is pretty goddamn solid. So, yeah. I can't believe I just gave it a 3.75. Not that it's like a crazy high score, but again, I can probably count on one hand the amount of beers in this category that I've got given like over like a 3.7, 3.6. So I think it's pretty nice. Price point availability. Now, since I bought this on Halftime Beverage, it was a bit more expensive. You're gonna probably be like, wow, that's a lot. It was $2.49 for that bottle. Now, I know that 6 packs of this are not $15. In New York State, everything's a little bit more expensive, but Halftime is definitely more expensive. I would say that you probably can get this in Texas, 6 packs probably like $7, $8. You'll probably get 12 packs for like $1. So, maybe like $12, $13 for a 12 pack. That's kind of like how Genesee is here. And if there come in bigger packs, like 24 packs, you're probably looking at much cheaper than that, maybe like 20 to 22 or something like that. I don't know if they have 30 racks of this, but I would say that, again, this is very comparable to Genesee, the Genesee Brewing Company's offerings here in New York State, as far as quality goes and how much probably people enjoy them locally. So if you drink this beer and you are somebody who you would call yourself a Lone Star drinker, or you have it in the fridge all the time, let me know what you think about this one. Obviously, I'm sure you enjoy it. Now, if you've tried this one before and you didn't like it, what didn't you like about it? Again, to me, inoffensive, no off flavors. It might be a little bit sweeter for the style, might turn some people off. You might not be able to session this as much. I don't really have an issue. Like I said, there's a nice firm dryness on the finish that really helps balance it out. So I would have no issues like drinking a 6-pack over, a 3-4 hour period, feeling pretty good, but also be able to session it because again, it's pretty damn good. So yeah, very, very, it's so crisp and clean on the palate. It just like kind of goes down like water. Again, not watery as the body would, like the body is not watery. It's just like, it's just so easy and refreshing. Like it really is. Like I could picture being in like on a hot Texas day, especially like in the summer, you get done cutting your grass or doing some yard work, you could slug a couple of these back, super refreshing, and you'd be feeling a little bit of buzz, and you just be happy that you're done with the yard work, but you also had a couple of nice refreshing beers. So probably longer than it needs to be, but I like waxing poetic about regional beers that have a history and that people enjoy from certain regions. I always talk about like wanting to try, like I still want to try Rainier and Olympia and Old Style. Haven't had a chance to get my hands on any of those yet, so hopefully down the line. But when I saw Lone Star on the Halftime website, I was like, it is a go time. Oh yeah, the availability on this one, I think I already missed that, but I have no idea. Like obviously in Texas, I don't know if they get outside the state. They might have a beer finder on their website. I didn't check. Like I said, I've never seen it here in New York State outside of being on Halftime Beverage. Never seen it here in the West New York area. So your mileage may vary as far as this twist cap. I think I cracked it out. Whatever. I think your mileage may vary, but at the same time, you probably could find this one if you're in the South, we'd say, or I'd say. Also, on top of that, this, even though like I couldn't read the date or whatever, this seems pretty fresh. It doesn't seem like any kind of, there's no oxidation here. There's no anything that would indicate there's anything that's bad about this one because of the age potentially of the bottle. I think it's relatively fresh. So anyway, I'm going to shut this one down. That does it for another Macro Monday. I have a couple other Macro Monday beers I'm going to sneak in before the end of the year. And yeah, appreciate everybody stopping by for another beer review here in the Beer Patrol. Once again, in the description box or in the comment section, please post your thoughts on this one. If you've had this one before, I'd really appreciate it. And I'd love to hear from everybody who's ever tried this. To the next one. Cheers.